What's up, believers? Welcome to Make Us Believe, a wrestling podcast by fans for fans. I am one of your hosts, Michael,
And I'm John.
and we are coming back at you on the heels of WrestlePalooza. Um, yeah, a lot has changed. I am not a fan of the new, I'm going to put this out there, hot take, I don't care. I am not a fan of the new subscription service. Uh, I already paid for Peacock. I paid for the WWE Network, and now they want me to pay $30 for ESPN so I can watch some PLEs, which going forward, I think they're going to get all the PLEs, right? Like
I
as
think
of like next
so.
year.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a hot take to me. I agree with you. Peacock, $7 a month. You get more with it. Now it's $30 for ESPN. It's still ad ridden. And honestly, for their kickoff pay-per-view or PLE, I mean, we'll get into it, but I kind of thought it was a little underwhelming.
Same. It was kind of like what the almost it almost had the same vibe of like that the Netflix premiere of like, hey, let's just throw star-studded stuff at it to make it, try and get the biggest pops that we can right off the bat.
Yeah, and it
And
was cheap.
there just was, yeah, it was cheap. There wasn't a lot of substance to it, and it kind of felt that way.
For being the first PLE with ESPN, I was expecting more. I was expecting at least one big shocker, and you could argue that Brock going over Cena was, but to me, I don't know. It wasn't anything that crazy. And yeah, it was a little lackluster. And again, like I don't like when you're paying third, like again, over triple the price of what Peacock was. I don't need to see all the damn ads, man. It's just, and that's a petty little thing, I guess, but a little too much for me. And this was a letdown of a show. I thought it would have been a good Raw. Like this was like basically a good Raw.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I know there's a bunch of people out there. We live in the IWC. Like, let's be honest about that. I don't see the term IWC as a negative or whatever. Internet wrestling community is where we're all at now. It's where we get our news. You're listening to this on the internet, like that kind of thing. If you are listening to it, thank you. But we are creators in the IWC. We are participants in the IWC. I don't see that as a negative thing. But
No, absolutely not.
nowadays, if you are an older member of the wrestling fandom, like John and myself are, you'll remember that pay-per-views were $30 a month. So you can argue, oh, you're just paying per month what you would have anyway. But if you're not in that realm and you are like us and have gotten used to paying the memberships, for WWE Network for $10 a month and getting everything, you know, for so long, now they want to throw, hey, now it's locked behind $30 and all you get is the PLEs. It's not even like it includes the entire library
Right.
of of all their past stuff. So now you still have to pay for Peacock for that, for those. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Like, I know it's the same price basically of before, but in this day and age, it's another subscription service. It's absurdly expensive comparatively, like compared to the other subscription services out there. And if you're not a fan of ESPN or not a fan of like the other offerings that they might have, like you're just paying $30 so you can watch a PLE a month. And
hmm
to me, that's not worth it.
I
So,
I agree.
boo
Like
WWE.
and I'm a big sports fan, but I already have YouTube TV. I already get ESPN. Like I don't have the app, but the app doesn't do a ton for me either. The 30 for 30s are cool, but no, I don't need all of that. I just want to watch some wrestling. And like you said, back in the day, we used to have to pay a pretty decent price per pay-per-view, but now, it's been over a decade where, the the WWE what is it? What was the app that was going on for a while? I feel like I'm just
The
drawing a
net-
blank
the
here.
the network.
Yeah, the
Yeah, it's
WWE
just
Network,
WWE
right? That
Network.
9.99, right? And then it was on Peacock,
Yup.
$7. Like I don't want to say we've been spoiled because WWE has made record profits since then. They're a billion-dollar company now. So giving us a little bit in return is what they should be doing. And they've still been making hand over fist. They've still been making records for like the last 3 years. So this is a little bit of a slap in the face from where we were just at for a pretty significant period of time.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I mean, you can look at it as, billionaires be billionaires kind of thing, but it just does. It seems greedy that one, they're going to make this deal with ESPN because ESPN's offering them a bunch of money. Um, and that ESPN is going to charge that much for their debut of a streaming service. Like I get that they have a bunch of stuff to offer, but $30 is ridiculous in my opinion.
Absolutely. And you know
it,
what? I'm
it,
not going to get off the soapbox on this. Like, either
no,
bombard me with ads and give me the product for free or make me pay for it, and I don't want any ads. Like,
yeah,
it's all over the ring, it's on the post, like it's on the rails. It's too much. And then you actually have commercials during the ple. It's something that annoys the crap out of me. But like I said, I will die on that hill. I don't, and I think I probably will, because I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon, but it annoys me.
yeah, I'm with you. I will mark my grave next to yours, my friend. The commercials are garbage. We didn't get them when we were like back in the day when you had to like when it was pay-per-views.
Right.
You didn't get them for that with the network. And when they crossed over to Peacock, even you didn't get them. Like the worst bit was what was it when they were doing I won't forget it. It's when they did that zombie movie or whatever,
Oh, that was so
and
bad. Yeah.
with Batista, yeah, and the entire PLE was essentially a commercial for that movie. I thought that was way over the bound, but at least that wasn't even there weren't commercials for that. It was just terrible, like branding on everything.
Dude, Bray's
Now,
last match was a Mountain Dew match with LA Knight. Like, it was just
yeah,
ridiculous, man. Like, give me a break.
yeah,
And I will say a lot of bad stuff about Vince McMahon. Creatively, he was awful for his last decade, really almost ruining the product. But I will say one thing to his credit. He liked a cleaner product. He didn't want all these ads. He didn't want them on the ring. The ring was sacred. When you got a PLE or a pay-per-view, for the most part, outside of them advertising their own stuff, which I get to a certain extent, like, you didn't see ads like this. So that's one thing in his favor. This is over the top now.
yeah, I agree. I get it when it's the UFC, right? Like the branding all over the octagon mat and the posts and everything. I get that. That's been there forever, right? I mean, they used to
Yeah, and boxing does that
have
too. Like,
stickers
it's a
all,
different.
yeah,
And Japan does that too. Like, New Japan Wrestling's always done it. But the thing is, it's different
yeah,
products, different areas. Like, what's acceptable, or the norm for one product doesn't mean it has to be acceptable or the norm for another product. And again, WWE makes way too much money now for this to be acceptable. And it's a new thing too. Like, they didn't start doing this until they were making record profits. So to me, it's just a little too much.
yeah. And if you're going to sell the ad space on the ring, fine. You don't need to sell a Slim Jim,
Table.
table, you
Yeah.
know, or like have a Snickers LED ad on the ring apron LED board kind of thing. Like you don't need that stuff. Come on, guys,
Please
get
no.
better. But anyway,
Yeah.
I agree
I'm
with
glad we got
you.
that right.
Yeah, that rant over. Yeah, WrestlePalooza just felt shallow, and it was like, hey, let's have a big debut with big names, and it was a glorified Raw, and not even a great one. Like it
Yeah.
was barely good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
and yeah, I mean, do you have any big takeaways from the PLE?
no, honestly, it was predictable. Like everything was very predictable. Like in my opinion, having Brock back and having him go over on Cena seemed like that was just what was going to happen. Cena has to be vulnerable now so he can make his triumphant return in the like 2, 3 matches he has left. So in his last PLE match, he's going to go over, not over, whatever. He has to go out on his back, essentially, is what you would think he would do. But before then, he has to go down, be vulnerable, so he can be built back up. So it means something when he does pass the torch. And of course, when you bring Brock Lesnar in, you're literally bringing Brock Lesnar back for that purpose. It, I didn't really see it going anywhere else. And then it was basically a squash match on top of that. So I'm like, I it I don't know. It just the whole thing felt very predictable and just not well booked. In my
Yeah,
opinion, I don't know. You guys can disagree with me. I don't care.
so I'll disagree slightly, but the sentiment is the same. I will say I did not see Brock going over that much. I just didn't see it the way everything's been being built for Cena. Obviously I understood him dropping the title to Cody, even though that surprised me a little bit too, but it made sense. Him getting destroyed by Brock was a bit of a surprise for me. I actually thought they'd figure out a way for Cena to go over. The last time they faced each other, which was obviously years ago, Cena got his ass kicked for 90% of the match, but still wound up going over. I figured it'd probably be something more along the lines of that. So, and from what I've read, and you have to take that with a grain of salt. But what I've read is they're not going to revisit Brock and Cena now, so he's just going to push forward after getting the ever living shit kicked out of him. Now, you could spin that story a few different ways. Cena's looking more human now. He hasn't wrestled in a long time. Brock is a monster. It makes some sense. Um, but I was surprised by it, and I'm curious to see Cena's progression as we get closer to his final match. Um, I will say I did like Heyman coming out and announcing him. Like that hit me in the nostalgic feels. I really did enjoy that. Um, Even though they've obviously had their own ups and downs through the years, like those two are bonded together. So that was actually really cool. But honestly, that shouldn't be my favorite part of the PLE, and it was. Um, I always butcher her last name, and I'm probably gonna forever. Stephanie Vecchier winning the women's title. That was also a bit of a surprise for me. I kind of figured she was a little bit too new on the main roster to do that. I know she was obviously a huge free agency signing when she came to NXT. She cleaned up in NXT. So, it's a fair argument to say they're booking her well. They're keeping the steam rolling, I guess. But that kind of surprised me too. I'm trying to say this the right way because I'm trying not to sound like some asshole about it, but I have a lot of trouble with these with I guess pushing people who don't speak like hardly any English and don't have a mouthpiece with them. It just doesn't go over well. Like this is for lack of a better term a staged thing, and mic skills are very important in wrestling. Mic skills are a big part of it. Your character is a big part of it. And I don't know. I again, like I think she's phenomenal in the ring, but I don't really know what her character is. And even when she came out on Raw and gave her speech, I was just like, this is kind of hard to watch. Um, I would have liked to see other people take that spot. Um, Io's obviously been there a bunch of times, including recently. I would have rather maybe even Roxanne gotten the shot. Roxanne is kind of picking up a lot of steam with me. But overall, yeah, those are my only big thoughts on the PLE. I mean, it looked like Jey Uso legit hurt himself on a ricochet from that steel chair shot. It looked like they kind of had to wrap that match up quick because of it. So I think that was a botch. I'm not totally sure. But other than that, yeah, I mean, nothing to really take away from that PLE.
We can hit this as long as we wanted to, but I think it just ends kind of the same way. It was not well done. It just wasn't. Um,
I wanted more. For the first ESPN event, I was like, this has got to be big. This has got to be at least, something has to happen that's going to change the trajectory a little bit. And you could argue that Brock was it, but and again, we've talked about this on a previous podcast. I am a mark for Brock. I can't help it, but Brock is he's a guy who can come and go as he pleases. He's always going to be, a monster, a main guy. I don't know. Like that just didn't seem like it was anything real crazy shifting, even though I didn't expect it. Especially because Cena's going to move forward now. Now I have read it seems like, especially from Twitter interactions from Triple H and Cena, that it's going to be Cena and AJ next, and that'll be cool because AJ's kind of been floating in no man's land. He couldn't get over Dominic Mysterio, and he's kind of hinted that he's going to be sunsetting his career in a little bit. So that's going to be an interesting match, even though he's not super hot right now. But I mean, there's nothing I enjoy more than AJ Styles beating up John Cena, but he can't beat up John Cena now, right? Because John Cena just came off of a brutal loss, and AJ's cold, but AJ's going to wind up losing this match, right?
That's how I see it. Like I said, like I think in his next few matches, like Cena had to be made vulnerable, so he can be built back up for his last like two matches after that, and then so he can go out and have it mean something to whoever's actually going to beat him in his final match. So I don't think AJ is going to be the one that beats him in his final match because there's no chance that AJ deserves or not deserves it, but that he needs it.
No,
Um,
I mean he's a multi-time world champ himself. I mean
yeah,
he's done well in his career. He doesn't need it. What they and again, his career is pretty much sunsetting. So I think they need to give it to somebody. They can go a few routes with it. And I'm not sure if we talked about this before or not. They can either go the Seth route because Seth's always been a top guy, but never the main guy. You beat Cena in this final match. I do think you're pretty much the guy. Or you can
mhm.
give it to somebody like Braun Breaker or Jacob Fatu, who's kind of breaking in and they have a lot of potential. And then you give them a win over Cena in his last match, and you just put a rocket on their back. They're going to the moon. I think you can go either way on that, but I do think you got to do something along those lines.
Yeah. I it's going to be interesting to see if it is AJ versus Cena for his next bit. Those could be some great matches. Like Cena still knows how to turn up the heat in the ring, and AJ knows how to match energy. So I think that that could be really good as far as just match quality goes. But yeah, it's pretty much a known, like a given that Cena's going to go over in that match, and that uh, you know, it could be good, it could be fun to watch, but it's going to be predictable. But that's going to
Hmm.
be anybody that they throw at him right now.
Yeah,
If
I
they threw
almost feel like
Brock,
it.
if they threw Brock at him again, I feel like he would go over on Brock. So
He would,
they're
but then
just
you're wasting a valuable slot because there's not a lot of
yeah.
time left for this. I think the better way to probably have done this would have been get AJ hot before. I don't think this was well planned out. I think if you had AJ hot, this would be better. Also, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I might be, but I think the only thing holding Cena back from Grand Slam and maybe Triple Crown is the IC title. Has he ever been the Intercontinental Champ? I don't think he has. So even having AJ go over on Dom, giving him the IC champ, I mean, it was right there. So I really don't think they were expecting this. I think Cena tweeted, he doesn't book the matches, but I think he threw AJ's name out there, and then Triple H said, "Let's do it." So I think that is probably going to happen now. But you really could have planned that better. Like you really could have made that something. And I wouldn't have even been upset about it. Let have him turn over the belt to Cena, and I would have hated this idea if I was talking about it before Cena made his farewell tour. Beginning, like I didn't really want him to get any titles like this, but it's been working out okay. I didn't mind him having his 17, even though I don't think that that's actually the record, but whatever. Um, I don't think that I wouldn't have thought that him having the IC to complete the Grand Slam would have been something I wanted to see, but now I'm okay with it. It's been going all right, but they kind of botched that a little bit with how this is kind of built up and booked.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not seeing anything about him being the IC champion. So yeah, that could be the one thing that was, eluding him.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, yeah,
You
it's
could
too
you could
late
have
to do
you could
anything
have
about it now.
right. You could have put a bow on everything. You could have given him a 17, which you really wanted to do, check, and then given him the
Hmm.
Grand Slam, check. Now, that not saying you can't still do that, but it was right there if you would have just planned it a little bit better. Like him and AJ had a good rivalry back in the day. It would have made sense to reignite it, and he was just feuding with Dom. It would have been so easy. Like none of your writers, none of your bookers thought like, hey, AJ is a big candidate to face Cena at some point. We can give him this IC title, have him drop it to Cena, and then do whatever you want after that. I just feel like it's a little bit of a missed opportunity there.
Yeah, it seems like one of the few, like one of the shortcomings that you tend to face with creative is they have a a lot of trouble juggling the multiple storylines and kind of the future projections of where they're going to go. So you want to focus on Dom being the IC champion and pushing him, but you also want to, loop in those rivalries and stuff. Then you have Cena's thing going on over there, but you never think about where they're going to combine and what could work out in the future. It just seems that creative tends to strike out more when it looks at the long-term projections of multiple storylines and where they can interact. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I
I
agree.
I don't I don't know how this is all going to work, like who his last match would be with. Um, I would love it to be like Jacob or something like that, but I don't actually think that they're going to give it to somebody in the kind of mid card. I think it is going to go to somebody like Seth or something like that, who's more of the main eventer to kind of literally, like you said, just kind of give them the nod of like, yeah, now you're the guy. I would hate it to go to Cody just because, not that I don't love Cody, it's because I don't feel like Cody needs it. He's the quarterback. He's established himself as that. I don't think he needs the, being the guy that retires Cena um, to bolster his resume,
Oh, I
you know?
totally agree. I totally agree with that. I think there was a time where Cody desperately could have used this, but now he is QB1. He's the biggest star in wrestling right now. And him and Cena have already fought twice during this farewell tour. They exchanged titles both times. They had a good feud. You don't need to revisit that. That's done. So yeah, I definitely don't think so. He already put Cody over. He doesn't need to do it again in this final match. That story's already played out. I agree. Like I said, Seth, I'd be totally fine with, or an up and comer. Regardless, though, I am going to be pissed if Cena winds up winning his last match. I know in more modern era we see that a lot, but old school tradition is you put somebody over on your way out. I'd like to see Cena do that.
I would too. I would too. When it's not done that way, I always feel like it has that sense of I'm too big to fail, egotistical kind of thing of
Yeah,
no, don't you know who I am? I'm blah blah, and I'm gonna go over on my last match so I can have my hand raised. It seems like and like their last opportunity to give something back, they've decided to take more. And
exactly.
I
And it's
don't know
not
if it's
necessary.
yeah, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be like, their decision. It could be creative, it could be the bookers, it could be whatever, but that's
Sure.
always how it comes across to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd
And
never enjoy
sometimes
that.
sometimes it doesn't work out great. Kurt Angle, who in my opinion is one of the best. I would say he's definitely top 10. He put Baron Corbin over. Now that did not work out, but it was the right mentality. Baron Corbin was somebody who at the time really could have used that. And he kind of was somebody who's always kind of floated on the cusp of making it past the mid carder to a main eventer. He never quite made it. The Kurt Angle thing didn't really do anything for him. And they could have booked all that better too, but that was the right idea with Kurt and creative to put somebody over who could use it over a legend like Kurt. Again, doesn't
Yeah,
always work out, but it's the right idea. It's always the right idea to try that.
absolutely. Okay. So, aside from Cena, what else are you seeing? What else do you like?
I hate to say it because, and I'm not trashing it as much as it sounds like. I still am a fan of the product, but I think it's fair to say right now they're in a little bit of a lull. There's not a ton that I'm seeing that I love outside of what we've already kind of touched on. I'm curious to see where Brock's going next, or if he's going to be MIA for 3 months. I'm curious if Roman's ever going to come back. There's a lot of big question marks about the people who are and aren't there. What's happening right now? It's hard to say. Like I don't even really know where Cody goes from here. I guess, on Raw, we saw the Kabuki Warriors turn on EO. That was interesting to me. It's kind of been building up to that. I kind of thought EO might, kind of pivot and join them again, turn heel. But it doesn't look like it. So we're probably going to get the Kabuki Warriors with EO and Rhea in a tag match that's going to wind up doing not a ton for me. But at least it's interesting, right? And sadly, that might be the most interesting thing going on right now. I don't really
Yeah.
know, I like even, even with, I don't know, I want to say even Roxanne, who I praised earlier, but she's kind of stuck in the Judgment Day, who's in a little bit of limbo right now. Even though I really do think that she's on the up, I'm really enjoying what I see from her. But Finn's still floating, doing not too much. JD actually put on a really good match against Rusev. I love the way he looked. I knew he wasn't going to go over, but I thought he looked really good. Which is the problem with JD is like he's really good at selling. He's really good at putting people over. That it almost is kind of good and bad for him. He almost certainly gets more airtime because of it, but also he's kind of stuck in this zone where he's so good at it that they have him put people over a lot. Um,
Like
so
Dolph.
yeah, kind of like Dolph. And I actually saw D'Lo Brown talk about his career, and he kind of compared himself to a guy who kind of got stuck in that zone too. There's guys who definitely
Hmm.
get stuck in it, and it is. It's a good and a bad. You're getting a lot of airtime because of it, but also you're not going to go over a lot, and you're not going to make it to the next I guess tier because of it. So I love JD. I'm a fan of his, but yeah, I don't see him going anywhere soon. The Judgment Day thing is I don't even know. Like we talk, or they used to talk a lot about, is the bloodline in the ninth inning. I think Judgment Day might be in the ninth inning nowadays. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, honestly, not a ton that's really capturing my interest right now. What about you?
Um, I'm kind of gonna agree with that. Like, I'm excited for the Kabuki Warrior heel turn because I feel like they did their best when they were a heel team.
Yeah.
Um, I don't, I hate, hate the spitting of the green or blue or whatever, the poison mist. I hate that. I don't know why it's like we have to make every, you know, pushed Japanese star do the mist, like it sucks. It's overplayed in my opinion, and it's always done on people who don't need it. Like you don't Asuka's amazing in the ring. You don't need to add the mist and have her do that aspect. You can have her do other heel moves and cheat to win as a heel without the mist, and she would still be able to do that. And I think if they did away with the mist and just let the Kabuki Warriors go heel, um, that they would put on some bomb ass matches. And I feel like it would just be great. That's a personal opinion of mine. I like where that's going. I would have loved to see EO kind of go down that dark hole with them, but she's too squeaky clean. I agree with everything you said there. I
Yeah.
don't like, yeah, I also don't like the fact that we're gonna get Rhea and EO versus the Kabuki Warriors, and the Kabuki Warriors are probably gonna lose. Um, because Rhea.
Yeah, almost certainly.
Uh, yeah, right. Uh, so mark our words, if that happens, we called it first. And
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
it doesn't happen, forget this episode ever existed.
Well,
Um,
honestly, if it doesn't happen, then good for WWE for throwing a curveball
that's
that we didn't see coming.
that's fair. That's fair. Um, but yeah, so I am excited about them. Judgment Day does seem to be limping along and on its last leg right now. I think losing Liv hurt them a lot.
Yeah.
And uh I get putting Roxanne in there as the kind of live stand-in, and I kind of like where they're going with the is, live or Roxy Dom thing,
Mm.
kind of like, Liv was during that whole thing. But then you're revisiting that the love triangle
Right.
storyline, and you're like, you literally just did that.
Yeah.
So I don't know kind of thing. It just doesn't say like nothing in Judgment Day is exciting right now. It just seems like they're all building it to implode, and then I don't know what happens with them after that. Uh
Yeah. Agreed.
yeah. The yeah, I'm trying to think. I like that AJ's back. I don't know where that's gonna go, but that was, it's cool to see her in the ring again. Um but
Yeah.
yeah, there's not it almost seems like they're in a holding pattern, like they're kind of starting to set up stuff for Survivor Series or something, which I think is in November, but I'm not totally sure. Might be late
Yeah.
October. I don't know.
I'm glad you
But
touched on AJ too, though, because we kind of did forget to touch on that. That is kind of a
a
big deal.
little
That's
bit.
another, yeah, that's another thing too. Like, if you would have asked me a couple months ago, even if I wanted her to return, I would have said no. But they did build that up really well. They built it up to where somebody's got to help Punk, and it has to be AJ. Can't anybody else? Rhea, Bailey, like those were all floated. Those would have all been bad, and the crowd would have reacted poorly to it. It had to be AJ, and good for WWE it was AJ. But I'm kind of with what you were alluding to. I don't really know the long-term plan there or how long it's going to be good. Eventually they're going to have to go their separate ways and kind of do their own thing. They can't be doing this feud together forever. So we'll see what happens. She's been gone a long time. Obviously, when you have as good of mic skills as CM Punk, it's okay if your wrestling skills, wither a little bit because your character's still stronger. You are that character. AJ, I'm not 100% sure that's going to be the case. I think she's got a decent chance of being fine in the long run, but that's something we'll obviously have to stay tuned for.
Yeah, I agree with that. I know we agree a lot, guys, and I'm sorry. It's just because we're both very smart and we know what we're talking about.
That's it, man. That's
If
it.
if you disagree with us, that's your problem, not our problem. I'm going
Correct.
the heel route today.
We're better than you guys, and you know
Yes, exactly. We're basically Globo Gym. Um,
it.
so so I looked it up. It is late November that Survivor Series is going to be happening. So yeah, I think that they're building up to it, or at least starting to kind of, plant those seeds right now. So it does make sense that they're in a little bit of a holding pattern, but it's also kind of shitty that we're in a holding pattern because then it's boring, you know?
Mhm. Right.
So I expect it to pick back up maybe in a couple weeks when they start sifting out, seeing how they really want to shape things up for that. Because yeah, it's going to be War Games, Survivor Series also. So we're going to get, you know, it's an 8-man tag, something like that
I
in the
love me
in the
some more
in the
games, man.
structure.
Yeah.
I do. It's a great match. I was skeptical about it at first, but it is delivered time after time. So
It was great in
I'm here for it.
WCW. It was great in NXT, and I'm glad that now they're starting to utilize it in WWE too, because it really is a great match. So yeah, and plus like Survivor Series, even though I know it's one of the big four, it's always been one of my least favorite pay-per-views, just because it's kind of like Crown Jewel. It's nothing that's going to have a long-term impact. It's very gimmicky, and it just doesn't matter to me. So it's hard for me to be focused. When you have War Games, it kind of makes an added element, and there usually is like a personal feud to it, which I like. Not just some roster guys going over to the other show, and that got played out so quick to me. Um,
Yeah.
but speaking of Crown Jewel, who do you think is going to go over between Seth and Cody? That was a pretty
Seth.
good face off that they had on Raw. I know we agree
Oh,
that Crown Jewel is kind of old school Survivor Series ish, where it's more of a glorified house show, but that will be a good match, and it will be an interesting match.
it will be. I think Seth's going to go over simply because Cody already won it last year.
Yeah, yeah. Cody won it
That,
last year, and as Cody mentioned in their feud, Cody's 3-0. So it kind of feels like Seth needs this a lot more than Cody does.
yeah. Plus, I'm looking at it like, can you imagine, like, when Seth wins, like how much that's gonna be able to, like, how much fodder he's gonna get for his promos and stuff, as far like from the heel aspect. It's gonna be so good.
Oh,
So
absolutely, absolutely.
I I really like that. And again, looking at it, like, I don't know where Cody goes after that. Like, I don't know where he goes right now. But if he wins Crown Jewel, like, where does he go with it? Does he make a squeaky clean? Hey guys, say, all you need is hard work, and you too can be the two-time Crown Jewel champion, just like me. Like, what promo is he actually going to be able to use that for? That's
Right.
not going to come off just kind of super, like I said, like squeaky clean baby face. Like, there's going to be nothing of interest that comes out of that, other than the person that comes up to challenge him for his next feud.
Yeah, and it's so easy to put Seth over because he's a heel and he's got a faction with him. So it's pretty simple to, have a little outside interference. Seth goes over, he's got the bragging rights. Cody's justified in his loss because of it. They're on separate shows, so they'll be separated pretty quickly because of it. I don't know. It just seems like a no-brainer to have Seth go over. And again, I do think he needs it more so. But yeah, after that, I don't either way, I don't really know what direction you're taking Cody. I love Cody. I do think he's one of the more enjoyable faces. He's obviously the main face of the company right now, and he has been for a long time. But I mean, I would love to see him go heel because as good of a face he is. I think he's at least as good of a heel, even though we haven't seen it since his return. He's an outstanding heel. So I wouldn't hate seeing that either. I don't know if that's actually in the cards or not, but it is an option for him.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Seth's gonna go over. Um, yeah, I don't really have any other predictions for that. Like I don't know who Stephanie's gonna face. I know it's gonna be either I think it's Tiffany or Nia.
Yeah,
Um,
I would assume it's probably going to be Tiffy. Even though, gosh, like she's stale as hell too right now. Like they have to change that belt at some point. I don't think Nia is the one who should take it off of her, but yeah, I mean they got to change something with that pretty soon because and I was all for Tiffy getting her flowers and getting the belt, but at this point, man, it's been a long title reign that's offered not too much. I'm ready for that to shift.
yeah, yeah, same. I think Nia would be a good transitional champion though, honestly. Like she could take it off.
Yeah,
It would be believable. She holds it with the heel thing for a while until they can figure out who's actually gonna take it and be the next one that runs with the ball. Um,
yeah,
but
that's fine.
then, if that is the case, then it would be Nia versus Stephanie. And I think Stephanie would win that just because I think if they're trying to push her, she would get you know, a better
Yeah,
bump from that crown jewel match than Nia would.
yeah, I agree. I kind of would think that Stephanie would win this either way. She's brand new champ. They're pushing her. With what you've done with Stephanie in such a short amount of time, it would be counterproductive to have her lose this match, regardless of who she faces.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, again, that kind of leans into last year with with Liv Morgan, right? Like she was pushing, like got pushed so hard that there was no way she was going to be able to fail at that match. And she
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah,
So, like kind of I feel like they're going to repeat history. I feel like you're right. Like Stephanie is going to win that. But again, they're going back to the well. I don't know. Like, just think of something better, guys. I don't know. I know there's
yeah.
circumstances that happened. Stephanie probably wasn't scheduled to be the champion this quickly or whatever.
Well, yeah, it was
With
obviously supposed
Naomi
to be
being,
Naomi. Yep.
yeah. So there is all of that going on. I understand things happen, but yeah, I think it's just one of those things. Like again, it's going to be kind of predictable, but it should be a good match.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna pivot real quick and talk about our favorite tag team of all time here. Um, how do you feel about Grayson Waller joining the New Day? First off,
Okay.
like,
It's a miss for me, but I understand it to a certain extent. Grayson Waller doesn't really have anything going on. The New Day doesn't really have anything going on right now. But I like the New Day so much. Like even when they don't have stuff going on with them, Grayson Waller is kind of like it's very openly just thrown together, and they're not even really doing that good of a job with them. It's something, I guess, but overall, no, I don't like it.
I'm kind of in the same boat, but I'm gonna be honest, it's growing on me a little bit.
Okay,
Grayson's funny. Like he's
Grayson
funny.
is funny. Yes.
I do not think that he fits with the New Day, but I think that this angle is kind of working in that aspect that they're playing it very much that he doesn't fit with the New Day and just kind of steering into that.
That's fair. They
Um,
haven't made him a member. They don't really embrace him that strongly. He's kind of more like their lackey a little bit.
yeah, it's almost like Carlito was with the Judgment Day kind of thing, but
Yeah,
you know,
kind of, but
a worse fit.
Yeah, I mean, at least they brought Carlito into the Judgment Day, like he
Yeah,
was a member.
yeah, there's zero chance that Grayson
No.
becomes a New Day member, and if it does, I'm gonna write a strongly worded email to Xavier Woods.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I understand, you can't bring Big E back. Uh, so if you want that trio feel without actually having to disrupt or add new members, this is kind of the way to do it, right? You get yourself a lackey and throw it out there.
Hmm.
I,
Yeah,
I think it's working for that aspect of it, but I'm on board. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's kind of growing on me. I'm not gonna lie.
I could see the potential there, but right now, like I don't like they just need a better direction, and I get it. New Day's done everything that you can do.
Hmm.
Right now you're trying to build other people up. I don't know, and you did just give them the tag titles. I don't. I guess it's a weird area for me, but I see what you're saying. I'll remain open minded about it. I'll say that.
That's that is all I ask. That is all I ask. Just remain open and trust that the greatest tag team of all time knows what they're doing.
Ya boys, the
Just
New Day.
I love them so much.
I do. I
Okay.
do.
Speaking of other people that we love, I am digging this split personality thing from Bailey.
I agree.
And I feel like this has real potential, especially with someone as talented as Bailey, because she's able to flip like heel, face, all of that stuff mid-match even, and be completely from NXT Bailey to the role model to the current in-between Bailey right now. Like she's able to do that mid-match and make that stark difference where you notice it.
Yeah,
And I'm here for it. Like I
100% here for it. And she needed
it
this.
feels
She
like it's a
needed a
slow
little shift.
build. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
And it is
they're
going to be a
building
slow
it
build.
slow,
Yep.
and it's like kind of a little confusing at first and stuff, but no, man, like I'm really, really loving this because she has gone through so much change throughout her career to
Hmm.
get to where she is. And having her new storyline as something of just being able to look back on and re-experience all of that got her to this point is kind of genius, in my opinion. It's something that feels fresh and new, and I'm here for it.
Do you know what it reminds me of just a little bit?
What's that?
It reminds me of Bray and the Fiend. Bray,
Oh,
like when he's hosting his show, he's real bubbly and he shifts, and even his gloves say hurt and heal. And that's kind of what, like, it's almost like a better version of what they were trying to do with, oh man, why am I blanking? I'm just blanking out today, guys. I'm sorry. But the goddess, help me out. The
Alexa
chick
Bliss.
that, yeah, Alexa Bliss. Yeah. It's almost like what they were trying to do with her, except it's more honest and pure to what Bray was doing. And what I'm
Yeah,
hoping for is, like with Bray, what I was always fascinated about was kind of the undertones that, you know, the Fiend is him putting like a mask on, right? But the undertones were like, no, the Fiend is who he really is. The bubbly Bray with the TV show is actually the mask. And I'm
yeah,
wondering if like that's kind of what they're doing with Bailey, like where she kind of goes back and forth between being bubbly, but like she's kind of reached a boiling point. She's snapped. So now we're waiting for her to snap all the way. She's trying, but I mean, and it's probably not going to go exactly like that because you saw her after coming in at WrestlePalooza to help Lyra, and then even backstage, she was like a total bitch to her. And then the next night on Raw, she's super bubbly to her. So it actually is kind of more like a split personality thing, more true to it anyway. But it does remind me a little bit of the hurt heel mentality that Bray was doing. And I don't even mean that in a bad way. I mean that in the most beloved way possible. Like, I think right now, early on, I'm loving it.
yeah. I mean, the Fiend storyline was one of my favorites of all time. Like that was one of the greatest
100%.
things that they've come up with, in my opinion. And I feel like I feel slightly different on that. Like I feel that it was two extremes, and when you had Bray just doing his promos just by him, as Bray Wyatt,
Mhm.
not the bubbly guy with the sweater vest and the Mr. Rogers vibe, and not the Fiend, but just Bray in the middle. I feel like that was him that was the true Bray.
You
And
mean
then
like the most
he,
recent Bray that we've seen? Is that what you're talking about? Like
uh,
like before
yeah,
Death, where he
kind of,
came back? Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I get what
Kind of
you're
like,
saying.
not like as necessarily the leader of the Wyatt family, but kind of in that zone where
Yeah.
that was like, cool, we got Bray. And then he puts on the mask of being super bubbly because that's what he feels the fans
Mhm.
want. He puts on the mask of the Fiend when he has to get shit done and when that calls for it. But, he's somewhere in the middle. And I feel like this Bailey thing is not more organic, but kind of more organic. If you, uh, that's really
No,
hard to explain there.
I know what you're
You
saying
know,
though. I actually do know what you're
yeah,
saying.
it feels way more like like you said, like a split personality. Like one second she's bubbly, the next second she's the heel and bouncing back and forth, and you don't really know where she's at, and she doesn't know where she's at, kind of thing, and she's kind of struggling with that. And this whole thing is just the whole storyline is playing out that way, and I love it. Like I love being
I
able to
agree.
see that.
I agree.
Oh,
I'm very
yeah,
interested on how this builds, and yeah, kind of touching back on it. This probably is the thing I'm most interested in is Bailey. I don't know why I forgot to touch on that. We're getting back into the groove of it, people. Shaking off a little rust, but yeah, that is absolutely the most interesting thing going on right now, probably.
yeah. Um, Pivoting to one of the kind of lesser interesting, but still kind of Jay Uso and his, I mean, downward spiral, I guess.
Definitely seems to be
Uh,
hinting towards a heel turn, but I mean, who knows?
yeah, because I mean, you're not gonna be able to heel turn LA Knight out of this and keep Jay the face. Like that's not what's gonna happen. The fans wouldn't allow that to happen. J- I think that Jay is kind of going Roman Reigns light on
Hmm.
this,
Yeah.
and it feels shallow in that aspect because we had it done with Roman, and when they did it with Roman, it lasted for so long and was so dominant that I feel like trying to revisit that with anybody that's not Roman is not gonna it's not gonna go over well. So I feel like it's kind of setting him up for failure in the long run, but I don't
I don't
know.
know.
I'm kind
I don't know
I'm
either.
kind of here for it, but it's a mixed bag for me.
So I understand and appreciate what you're saying because it's not an easy task to follow all the way through with. I will say I love it, at least what they're teasing, because Jey Uso is obviously a super face and he's very over with the crowd, but he's storyline wise, he's kind of at a lull too. Like we don't want to accept it, but I'm sure everybody in WWE could see backstage there's not a lot to do with Jay right now. He comes out, he yeets out, crowd goes nuts for it. That's kind of why it's kind of like a perfect combination to where you could turn him heel and it would be a pretty big shocker because he's been such a mega face for a pretty long time now, years now. So you turn him heel, you get some shock value, even though they're kind of slow cooking into it. When it finally happens, I think it's going to be a shocker, to the live crowd. And also, you then have a lot more you can work with. You can feud out a lot of different things. You have new creative storylines that you can tell with it. But just for the same reasons, though, I'll disagree with you a little bit because I think you do that to LA Knight too. LA Knight is also a super face. He has been for years now. Pretty much, ever since that Mountain Dew match we were talking about, he went face pretty shortly after that. And he's been pretty over with the crowd, but also not a ton for LA Knight to do right now. So I'm happy. I know you can't turn them both heel at the same time, especially when they're kind of in the same storyline right now. But I am appreciative that one of them at least seemed to be heading in the heel direction because either one of those, they're big enough faces and they're well enough over to where that's going to be a big deal when they do turn heel. It's not going to be just like a lower mid Carter who has been floating and hasn't been over, and they turn him face or heel, and the crowd doesn't really care that much. Jay or LA Knight turning heel is a big deal. So I would appreciate I mean, obviously, again, it seems like it's going to be Jay, but I appreciate that they're going to do that, or at least try to do that.
Yeah. And I'm with you. I'm looking forward to it because I do think it's going to be a big deal. And I do like the fact that they're using LA Knight as part of that storyline because you're, like you said, you're bringing in two guys that just generate electricity in the arena,
Yep.
and one of them is going to turn heel. But in the meantime, you still have LA Knight and Jey Uso, which are just going to deliver great segments for you no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't know. The problem with I have with it is I don't know what happens after the fact. Like if Jay turns heel, where's the feud? Where's he going with that? Where's that direction? Like is he just gonna stay battling LA Knight for the next few months? Is he gonna turn on his brother? Is he gonna try and make a sad version of the bloodline? Like what's I don't know what the future holds for that. Which I guess is,
Yeah.
kind of the fun thing because it'd be
Right.
boring if you could just predict everything and know where it's going.
Right.
But
And there are a few different paths you could take. Obviously, you could veer from LA Knight, but also, as much as I don't like the way it sounds on paper, you could revisit the feud between Jimmy and Jay. They did it a few years ago. It didn't really hit that hard for me, but now you have them in opposite roles where Jay is now the heel and Jimmy's the face, and it could be a really good opportunity to elevate Jimmy, who kind of got, the shaft of it. Like everybody else kind of got elevated from Judgment Day. He wound up losing his tag team partner and now has been floating lower mid card when he's even getting airtime. So, teasing that the Usos are getting back together while also teasing this heel turn, it is interesting and there are things you could do with it with that. I also, the small things too, like even when like they came out during WrestlePalooza, I thought it was really goofy, and I don't know if it's just me, but they came out to the original Uso, or well, not the original, but the previous Uso song, which is pretty much the same thing as Jay's theme song. It's just, Jay says it's just me, Us. Um, but they shifted from their song to Jay's song, which I thought was weird because you could yeet to either song. They're essentially the same song. So, and then obviously Jay walking into the back when Jimmy wanted to go help LA Knight. Obviously, that's a pretty openly heel move. Um, it would have been interesting if the Vision would have gotten the better of him and then seen if Jay would have came out. But obviously, they yielded with the chair. But I mean, and again, I'm sure that was by design. I know that they're milking this, and I don't even mean that in a bad way either, because you kind of want to milk things like this because we're more interested because of it, and we're talking about it, so obviously it is generating some interest. But yeah, I
mhm.
mean, there's options. Like I said, I don't know. You can drop the ball on this just as easily as you can pick up the ball and run. Like it just depends on how on it booking is for this, but it does have potential for sure.
Yeah. I don't know it as far as the Vision is concerned. I don't know if I necessarily like that they're the opposite as, kind of like or like the back end threat that's waiting for whatever fallout is from LA Knight or from Jay. Um, I get it because, they have to do something, and putting them in the main event picture, with stars like LA Knight and Jey Uso is the best way to kind of make them valid and legit in their storylines. But I, it just feels like they're throwing the Vision just kind of at the wall, and it's almost like, hey, we're going from that uh storyline picture that Seth had before of if you're not with us, you're against us kind of thing, and then just kind of destroying everybody, to them kind of doing this, we're destroying you, now we're going to destroy you, but it doesn't really make sense kind of thing right
Yeah,
now. I
yeah, I think it's working right now, but I do agree that they need something new too. How would you feel? And I don't think this is going to happen for the record. But how would you feel if Jay joined the Vision? Because that's not totally out of the realm.
I, I would lose my shit, Honestly, I think I would lose my shit. I would like it if he's gonna go heel turn and he aligns with his himself with Seth and Paul. He obviously has the history with Seth. He has the history with Paul Heyman.
Mhm.
Um,
It's right
and I
there,
mean,
man. And
realistically, yeah, it is. It's right there, and you kind of get that built in, just waiting in the wings to stab Seth in the back and take his title. Because Jay is main event. He is a main
mhm.
eventer now. He is a former world champion. So, that threat would be there. So I feel like they could do some really cool stuff. He would help out the faction as far as the heel vision goes. Um, get some more star power in there, buff it up. But I think that that would also be kind of the poison pill for that faction,
It could be.
adding
It
in that
really could
fact.
be. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
mean,
I mean, yeah, it's like kind of like a built-in self-destruct. That would be
yeah.
cool to have
And
because
for the
the
immediate
faction's not
future,
gonna last forever.
right, right. But yeah, I mean, it does make sense, to a certain extent because, like I said, he's got the history that you just spoke on. They are feuding, kind of circular with each other. And an enemy of an enemy is a friend, right? So it's right there if he does turn heel. And yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. I would say the only thing is that Braun and Bronson are more up and comers. Jay, as a former world champion now, he wouldn't really fit that mold perfectly, but it would be a little more evolution-ish. Where you kind of got a past, present, and a future. Not so much a past, but Seth's been there for a long time. He's very accomplished. Jay is more of a now, and Braun and Bronson are more of the future. So I don't know, but like I said, I just kind of thought of it as we were talking, but it does make a decent amount of sense.
Yeah. And now, like, so looking back on it now, I'm thinking, I was like, okay, well, what happens if Jay, like you mentioned, Jay and Jimmy's roles have flipped, right? They're
Hmm.
like, as far as heel and babyface go. So if this does happen, then that means that Jay would be put at odds with Jimmy, which now you want to see them in a tag match opposite each other because, they're one of the greatest tag
Hmm.
teams of all time. So then it would be the Vision and Jay against Jimmy, and then I would assume it would be LA Knight. And then for the third person, you need somebody else who's in there and has beef. So I would assume that the third person would be CM Punk.
And I'll tell you what, you get a fourth person, you might just have yourself a war games, buddy.
There we go. I don't know who the fourth person on each side would
I
be.
don't know either, but you still got November. You got enough time to figure it out to make it make sense. But I
Yeah.
mean, also War Games is coming, so that might be a real option. We might have just figured. We might have just cracked the code.
See, there we go. And if you disagree with us, well, that's your fault.
Yep. And also
Um,
speaking of breaking the code, we thinking we're going to see Jericho anytime soon?
I don't know. And part of
I
it's
don't
like
know either.
I don't know if we will, but I also don't know if I want to because it's like that nostalgia kick like you mentioned before.
Hmm.
And Jericho's great. He is great, but he is also older. And it's
Yes.
not added we're not looking at Attitude Era Jericho anymore. We're not.
No.
So it it'd be like bringing back Jericho for the sake of bringing back Jericho. And you're like, yeah, you're gonna get some great promo stuff out of him, but like, is the in ring really gonna be there, what you would expect, and is he gonna be able to keep up with the up and coming
So
kind of
I
stuff?
think so. And I'll say this. I am a Jericho holic. I would put him a top 10 all timer. And to
Hmm.
me, like it's undisputable that he belongs somewhere in the top 10. You could definitely argue where he falls in the top 10, but I think he's a top 10er. Even though I've fallen out a decent amount with AEW, I've still seen enough of his fairly recent stuff to where I feel like he could still go pretty well. He's not rusty. He hasn't been retired for like 5 years. He's an active wrestler. Has he lost steps due to age? Absolutely, but not that many steps. He's still pretty good in the ring. He's obviously good on the mic. I would, if they did bring him back, I would say I would prefer it to be in a more sunsetting manner. Like maybe give him a 1 year contract and then you could do the Hall of Fame and stuff and kind of put him out on the right note. But I mean, Jericho left in a way that seemed pretty amicable. I don't think any bridges were burned. He still speaks very highly of WWE for the most part. So I do think that it'd be something I wouldn't mind seeing. Um, but obviously I don't need to see that either. I agree with you. It would be mostly nostalgic. But I think if you did it more of a short term, maybe 1 year thing, I think it could work out well.
I agree. Like I would love to see him,
Yeah,
and it's Jericho. I agree. He's in
yeah,
the top 10. I don't know where, but he's in there. He is amazing, especially on the mic. Like, his debut was going one-on-one with The Rock, verbally. Like that's huge to be able to
in
have
my
that much faith in what your,
yeah,
what your ability is.
in my opinion, the
So
best debut of all time. But I
it
also liked
was
him in
fantastic.
WCW, so it really did like hit me hard in the moment.
Yeah. So I would be excited. I just don't know where it falls in. Kind of the same thing as like Brock, right? Like,
Mhm.
yes, we love Brock. Uh, issues, all of that stuff, you know, aside, the wrestler Brock Lesnar, like, love me some Brock Lesnar. His
Absolutely.
return was, it's fun. Brock is back. Yeah, he brought back to beat Cena's ass. We all know that. But where does he go now? Like, you brought him back for what? Is it going to spend like just 2 years just beating up a couple of random guys because we know he's not going to travel. We know he's not going to be at every show. What do you do with him? Sure, you brought him back. Yeah, he got the pop, but what are you going to do with him? Kind of thing. And that's kind of how the same boat that I feel like Jericho's going to land in. You bring him back, he's going to get the massive pop. He's going to draw in some fans maybe that, haven't watched or something for the sake of watching Jericho. But then what do you do with him? And
Yeah.
it's just kind of sad to see, some of the greats of our favorite eras and stuff come back and oh yeah, no, you're too old to be doing this. Like you can't keep up, or where do you fit in this new picture and then kind of stuff. So I don't know. I'm weary about it. I would love to see it, but I'm also kind of weary because I don't want anything to potentially tarnish, you know, his name or who he is.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It could go either way, but there have been some rumblings about that happening. And again, I don't watch nearly as much AEW as I used to, but my understanding is he has been absent lately, so maybe something is in the works.
Yeah, his I looked it up. His contract is set to expire the end of this year, so it could be.
Okay.
I don't know what the no compete is like over there. And we, like you said, he left amicably. We don't know if he would be, open to coming back. I feel like he would be. He hasn't said anything contrary to that fact. So we could see Jericho, and that could be cool. I mean, we could see Jericho as a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble next year, honestly, because if the no compete exists, it might line up with that. So that could be a possibility, which would be huge. He gets
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
great
Oh yeah.
that huge pop and everything, and then we see what happens from there. It worked for Edge.
No, you're
So
right
I don't
though,
know.
dude. That's exactly what's going to happen because you're right. His contract ends at the end of this year. The Royal Rumble is what, February? That's what's going to
Um,
happen, man. Like
something like
January,
that. I'm
February,
gonna look
yeah,
it up again.
January, February-ish. Yeah. So like literally when you get the top 10 countdown on his number, it's going to be the Jericho countdown.
Yeah, the 31st.
Oh yeah,
So
dude.
yeah, so it's the
Uh,
31st,
book it.
January 31st. I feel like he could be in there. I don't know what number. Uh, if there's going to be Jericho, like we want Jericho signs and everything out there too. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Nope.
That would be that
I'm waiting for
that would
that
be the pop
countdown.
though.
Oh, dude, I'm waiting for the countdown, man. Once it starts, dude, it's gonna be nuts. I'm actually all the way in for it now. I know we were both talking like a little iffy, but now that we've talked it out more, I'm 100% in for Jericho returning at that Rumble.
I'm literally booking this entrance right now in my head.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
like change the and doing the countdown, like you said, like instead of just doing the standard 5 4 just numbers,
Yep.
whatever, literally playing the countdown intro. So it's gonna happen, but I
Yeah.
feel like that would be the way to go. Like that would be just
A
chef
million
kiss.
percent, dude. Oh man, it
Yes.
would. Like that crowd would be popping so hard. I will be watching popping so hard for it. Like
That would be a
that.
double pop. Actually, honestly, that would
Yep.
be double because
Yeah.
it would be the pop when you realize like what the countdown is, and
Yep.
then when his music actually hits and he comes out, huge, like bigger pop.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be good. Oh yeah. All right.
That would be fantastic. Yeah,
I went from kind of wanting it to needing it.
yeah. I need this in my life now. I don't even care what you do with them. Make
Yeah,
this happen.
same,
Make
same. I
make
just need that moment.
this moment will make up for a lot for your future crown jewel. That's probably going to
Yep.
be not great, and your WrestlePalooza, which we know was not great. So creative, if you're listening, make this happen. This one moment would make up for it.
Yep. Yep, dude. I'm so here for it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't like the trading back and forth. Like some of our guys leave here, they go to AEW for a while, and then they leave AEW and they come back. Like I don't like the trading back and forth necessarily.
yeah. But
Um,
it's inevitable. That's how it was when WCW was hot too.
yeah, well, yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So hey, you know what we haven't done?
Top
A
five.
revisit on our top five on our power play or power rankings.
All
Tell
right.
me
Let's
who you got for your top five women. Let's start there.
top five women. All right. If I haven't built her up enough this podcast, I'm going. Wait, should I start at five or should I start at one?
Start at five. Let's go down like at the bottom and then work our way to the top.
Okay. All right. Five, because of the recent comeback, I have to go AJ Lee. Um, like I mentioned earlier, it was set up to where it basically had to be her, and it was a big moment. And even though I would have swore I didn't want her back, I was excited to see her in that moment. It was perfectly built up. So number five, AJ. She's number five too. Like I ranked her lower, or I guess the lowest of my power five, because again, what we were mentioning, I just don't really know how much you do from here. But there is potential. The moment was big. Five is her. Number four, I'm gonna go Becky. She's doing what she needs to do. Up until recently, the IC champ was the only champ on the show, right? Because the world title was vacant. So Becky's been doing what she needs to do. I'm not a huge fan of Becky, but to not have her on the list would be ignorant. So gonna put her at four. Number three, I think you got to go Stephanie Vacquier or whatever her last name is. She just won the world title. Again, I don't know how big I am on her character, but she has been just steamrolling people. She's been doing everything she needs to do. She's hot right now. That finisher flip she did in the match was nuts. So I mean, in the ring, she's really exciting to watch. So number three, I'll go Stephanie. Number two, I'm gonna go Roxanne. Again, we've touched on some of the stuff during the episode, but I like everything she's been doing. Her and Dom, not even necessarily their dynamic, but her and Dom are the best part of the Judgment Day for me. I think that she's really elevated her character in the Judgment Day, so it's at least working for her. Um, and I'm really excited what her future is. Like I said, she's just been escalating really well. And then number one, Bailey, man. Like I love me some Bailey. I love this return. I love the split personality thing. And I think the sky is the limit with what you could do with this new form of Bailey, whatever it is. So yeah, I I don't know. I'm a big Bailey mark and I'm excited to see it.
All the listeners out there, we don't share these ahead of time. Like we
No.
absolutely don't, because when we start to talk about wrestling, we just get stuck into a loop. And if we talk about this stuff beforehand, we tend to lose all of our hot takes and our good conversation before
Yep.
we start recording. So we just stopped doing that. So these lists are not discussed beforehand. Um, I'm gonna say that my list, all five are the exact same people. It's just slightly
Oh,
different
all
order.
right. All right, all right. I love it, dude.
Um, so for
We're
number
synced up.
five, yep, we are. So number five, I had Becky. Um, I put her at number 5 just because she's holding the title. She's doing what she's supposed to do. She's still Becky. You can't deny what she can do in the ring, and uh, whether or not you like her accent, like she still is great on the mic. Like as far as the substance of her promos and how she's really able to embrace this kind of victim mentality heel that she's portraying right now, it's just really really good. She's also I feel like she's doing the IC belt justice. Like that's supposed to be the workhorse title. She's keeping it out there in in our faces, and I feel like she's just doing a really good title run or a heel title run right now. For number 4, I had AJ Lee. I had to bump her up to number 4 just because so much of that push and that, you know, everything was just kind of like about her since her
Mhm.
return, which obviously, back after 10 years, didn't even like, wasn't really wrestling, but is just back. Um, I think that just bumps her up. We'll see what happens next time. What her, like you mentioned before, we don't really know what her future is going to be because she can't just be Becky versus AJ, and it can't just be Becky and Seth versus AJ and CM Punk. Like we know that. So I'm interested to see what happens. I don't know how it's going to turn about. She was, in my opinion, the best wrestler in the Divas era. Um, but
Yeah,
we're not in the Divas era anymore,
I
and
agree.
the game has absolutely elevated since then. So saying that she was the best in the world then, no, maybe she wasn't the best in the world, but she was the best in the company at then. She is not. I'm gonna throw that out there. I don't think that she's the best in the company now, but I'm interested to see what she can do.
Totally fair.
For me, number 3 was Roxanne. Roxanne is actually, fun fact, tied with LA Knight for most matches in 2025. I think
Oh,
it's
that's a
30,
fun fact.
38 matches each. Yeah, so
Because
absolute,
she just
absolute
got called
freaking
up like 3
workhorse.
months ago too. So like that's actually super
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah, she's an absolute workhorse. Like she wants it. She wants to be there. She wants to be involved. Obviously that's where the money is, right? But
Mhm.
like you said, she got called up. Former NXT Women's Champion gets called up, gets this, gets the tag titles on her, defends the tag titles, gets into Judgment Day. Uh, she's just been an absolute beast as far as workload goes, and her performances in the ring haven't slipped at all since then. So, still, when I see her, I know that I'm in for a quality match. So I appreciate that.
Heck yeah.
Number two for me was Stephanie Vakir. Like you said, she won the title, brand new women's champion, and she also has been killing it since getting called up. Because I think was it her, Roxanne, and Julia all kind of
Yeah.
at the same time?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, all three of them got belts. Like let's put that out there first off. All three of those women got belts within the time that they got called up. All of them have been champions or are champions currently.
Pretty good
So
crop.
pretty good crop. I'm not gonna lie there. So she just got the title. She's obviously gonna be getting pushed, and she's again an absolute monster in the ring. I love watching her wrestle too. So put her number 2. For me, the number 1, like you, Bailey.
Oh yeah.
She's the freaking goat as far as I'm concerned. I don't care what Becky says. I don't care what Sports Illustrated says. Bailey is the greatest of all time. Period. You're
Yep.
not going to talk me out of this.
I'm with
Um,
you.
yeah, and her ability to embrace the change in her character and literally just dive into it and become that new character so seamlessly and make it so believable while she with her mic work, with her in-ring performance and how she's able to change it up depending on what her character is supposed to be, it's so good. And the split personality storyline that we have right now is just I feel like it has so much potential and I really can't wait to see what they do with it. So that's why she has my number 1 spot.
Love it.
Yeah. So what do you got for the men?
The men is a little trickier for me. I I I feel like all right, so I'm just gonna go through it. All right, so number 5 is Punk. He's been doing enough. He's been in interesting storylines. Um, yeah, I don't really have much more to say about that. I do want to say again, I do feel like the men's more so than the women's is in a little bit of a lull. So I don't really stand super firm on these guys, but as far as what's been going on, this is how I see it. So I got Punk at 5. Um, so Cody, I got at 4, which is a little crazy because of just I don't know. Like I said, I think he's the number one guy in the industry right now, but it is getting a little stale. It hasn't been anything super exciting. You obviously, I think you still have to have him on your list, but right now he's 4. 3, I got Seth. What we were talking about earlier, I think Seth has got to go over. Seth's been doing a lot with the Vision. He's been very active. He's been in really kind of multiple storylines right now. To me, I think, Seth could be an easy 3, even maybe 2, but at 2, I have Cena. He's it's hard not to put him in there somewhere. Say what you want about him, but he's kind of the central character of the WWE right now during this farewell tour. And the stuff with Brock has it was a curveball. You're curious to see where he's going to go from here, how he's going to bounce back, how they're going to create the next storyline. So because of that, I put Cena 2. And I can't help it, man. I gotta put Brock at 1, man. He came in like a wrecking ball. He had Heyman with him. It got me excited. I feel like I might regret this decision next week when he is MIA, and I don't know, like he could be MIA for the next 2 months, right? And then I'll regret this decision. But right now, I'm super hyped that Brock's back, and he came in and he just killed the central character. So to me, you can do a lot with Brock right now if he wants to play ball, but the odds are he probably doesn't. But I have to see that first. So, like I said, I'm not as stuck to my rankings for the men as I was to the women, but that's kind of where I got to put it right
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. You made a lot of really good points. Again, I don't know where Brock is going to end up like next week. Like you said, we all know why he's here. He's here for the money and he doesn't like to travel. He liked pro wrestling. He's gone on record and said that. He liked pro wrestling. He liked doing the vignettes, the promos, the matches themselves. He really liked it. He just hated the travel. And now he's in a position where he doesn't have to travel. So why would he? And I get that, you
now.
know?
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to offer him that, I'm not going to blame the dude for taking it.
No, for sure. It's like the guys who jumped ship to WCW because they were offered guaranteed contracts whether they wrestled or not.
Right.
Like I get it. I get it. So I mean, it is what it is. To me, it shouldn't equate into world titles because then you're not defending it. And
Yeah,
just
and you
because
don't
you're a
really,
big
he
name
doesn't
doesn't
need
mean
it.
you should, but
Right. I agree.
yeah. So, but interesting enough to show up and wreck some people. And if they use him correctly, it's fun when his music hits because somebody's about to get their ass beat.
Oh
So,
yeah.
that if they can use him that way, let's see what happens. It could be fun. So for mine, I got JD McDonough at 5.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh, okay. I like it. I like it.
uh, again, I
Wait,
don't like
wait. So
JD.
where was Brock? Was Brock honorable mention, or where did you have Brock? Right.
No, I didn't have a Brock anywhere actually.
Oh, okay.
Just Sip literally because he came out and he's made 3 appearances since his return.
Okay.
He's
Fair
came
enough.
out F5 Cena twice and then had one match where he squashed him. Like I was like, it's Brock. It's fine.
Fair. Fair enough.
There are better choices. Um,
Props on the
yeah,
JD pick though.
I okay. Understand the last time JD was also on my list, and he may have been on the one before that. I promise you, I am not a JD fan. I'm not. I have not. I've never really liked JD. I felt like his character was dumb and it wasn't really going anywhere. But damn, if that man can't wrestle,
He's
he puts
good.
on.
He's good.
He's so good. And I mean, like, okay, if by whatever chance you're listening to this, JD, keep doing what you're doing. You're kind of converting me. Okay. Like I was always joking about his giant head, and I love that they've kind of steered into that.
Yeah, he had the
Dude,
big headbutt in
what?
the match on Monday.
Yeah. I it's essentially like if Lord Farquaad was a pro wrestler, and that's what we get for JD Vance. And it's hilarious, but they're really giving him a chance to showcase what he can do in the ring. And the dude can wrestle, man. Like he puts on great matches, and it's just he understands the psychology, he understands what his role is in the match, and it just it's quality. He is quality. So I'm like, love him or hate him, you gotta respect him. So I
Hey,
had to put him on the list.
you heard me going on about him earlier, man. I like I said, he wasn't on my list, but I appreciate it. I am a JD guy.
Yeah. So number 4 was Cody. He's on the list because he's Cody. He is
Yeah.
kind of the face of the company right now, and he did get he won the title back from Cena. He who else was he in? The last one that he was just in, I
Drew
forget.
McIntyre.
Yeah, which Drew. I mean, it's a whatever match. Kind of whenever I see Drew, it's kind of like throwing Sheamus into a match. It's
Yeah, you
just
knew what was
he's
going to
there.
happen.
Yeah, you throw him in because you know you can throw him in.
Right.
Um, but it was a decent enough match. It was what it was, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cody delivers. Cody consistently delivers, and he's always out there doing the interviews, doing the promos, doing the extra segments that they have for their YouTube channel and TikToks and whatnot. So
He's just a true company man, no matter where he's at.
exactly, exactly. So I was like, cool. He's still getting his push and everything. So he lands at number 4. For me, LA Knight, number 3.
Okay.
Again, tied for most matches in 2025. I have to put the workhorses in there. And his story, I've not been an LA Knight guy, but I can see the appeal. I'm still not one, and he's not really turning me onto it because I kind of get the character, but it's just not my cup of tea necessarily. But I understand it, and he plays it exceedingly well.
Oh
Like
yeah, he's a great character.
he's very, very talented. He's talented in the ring. He doesn't try and do too much, and he doesn't really try to outstep what his skill set is. Um, and he just really plays to his strengths and makes good matches, and he really is very charismatic and gets over with the crowd. So I'm like, cool. I'm sitting back, more appreciation for him, and he absolutely is a workhorse and willing to just do what needs to be done. So he's on there for that.
Yeah.
Number 2, I put Jay just
Okay.
because he's getting a little bit, that heel turn kind of
Yeah.
thing. That's where it's going. It looks like he's getting it more of a character development and kind of seeing where that storyline opens up, and because of that getting more of a push on there.
He's certainly a
So
person of
his
interest. Yeah.
exactly. So, he lost his title. We didn't know what he was going to do with that, like kind of floundering around a little bit. And then here he's landed. We might be a possible heel turn. We could see him with the Vision eventually. We could still see him feuding with the Vision. Like we don't know where it's going to go, but it does have the open-endedness of, you know, looking like it could be successful. So I'm encouraged by that. So he lands in my number 2 slot.
Okay.
Number 1, I had to give it to Seth. Um, just every time he's on the mic, he delivers. Every appearance he delivers. His matches are always solid. I am a Seth Rollins guy myself, so I might be a little biased by this, but I really do feel that Seth has been a great champion as far as the heel champion goes. He's been great at managing his faction, like, still bringing them out there with him so they get that star power, shoulder rub a little bit, but then also sending them out to do stuff on their own while still being connected with them. I feel like he's managing the faction very well. He's managing his title very well, and he's being Seth Rollins. He's very reliable. and you know what you're going to get from him. So
Oh yeah, I love
our
Seth.
number one slot.
Yeah, yeah, I have no problem with that. No, good list. Good list.
Yeah, I feel like we both had pretty good list there.
I like it. I like it. Yep. Yep. We'll see what happens. I definitely, even though he wasn't on my list, I think the one you had on your list that I didn't have on mine that I appreciate the most is probably Jay, because there's really a lot going on there and there's a lot of different avenues you could take. And it's because of that, it's one of the more interesting things going on right now.
Yeah, yeah. And I know it's kind of working as a slow build in character development and everything. I understand that, but it's the slow builds when they're done well that really get you. They really grip you.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
I,
you
I
know,
appreciate what you were saying about LA Knight too. Um, I had the pleasure of watching LA Knight in TNA and the rebooted NWA as well. I've always been a fan of him, but he was always pretty much a heel then. And I would love to see him go back to heel at some point, because he's one of those guys too. As good of a face as he is, he's actually one that I would say is even better as a heel.
I I can see that. I can
Yeah.
absolutely see that. It's like Seth. Like Seth's a better heel than he is a face. Absolutely. Can
Yeah.
he be a face? Yes, we've seen that. He
Yeah.
can do it. He can do it successfully. But he's so much better as a heel.
Yeah, and I
So
feel like you could say that, like, I think it is easier to be a heel, so I do feel like a lot of people are better heels, like just naturally, but I think it's very difficult to be a great heel and a great face. You don't see it a lot. Seth is one of them. Daniel Bryan's one of them. I think you
mhm.
could start talking about LA Knight being one of them. Yeah, like there's just now, and Cody, I think, is one of them. But there's not a lot. There's
Yeah,
not a long list.
it's not a long list. It's really not a long list. And when you start looking at like the greats, like your Mount Rushmores and stuff like that, you really have to step back. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
John Cena, great face, great heel. Undertaker, great face, great heel. Stone Cold, great face, great heel. The
yeah,
Rock, Triple H, all of these things, they all have that in common. And
yeah.
they were all able to kind of like not reinvent themselves, but like kind of like go with the flow and still maintain that level of success no matter what their character was portraying at the time. So
Absolutely.
yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for today then. We'll watch and see where these storylines progress because like we said, we're in a holding pattern right now, so there's nowhere to go but up, right?
I agree. Exactly. So yeah, we'll look at some of these stories, some of these loose ends to start coming together. And yeah, I mean, what do you think? Tune in next week, maybe?
Yeah, I would go ahead and say that. Tune in next week. We'll see what has happened on SmackDown and Raw and kind of see if we're getting a bigger picture. I mean, not necessarily what's coming up at Crown Jewel. You guys, if you haven't guessed it by now, neither one of us are huge fans of Crown Jewel. So, um, we don't really care what's going to happen at Crown Jewel because it's just going to be a glorified Raw with star power. That's literally all it's going to be. There's not going to be a whole lot of resolution or creation of storylines.
I heard they're still
So,
trying to sign Yokozuna to come back for a match. So we'll see.
Like, this is my
wait,
week. Got it.
what?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first one, like they one of the demands that they had was Yokozuna. So like I say that jokingly, but yeah, they had to be like, Yokozuna's dead.
Yeah, that's going to be a little hard. I mean, you might be able to talk Rikishi into it, but I don't think his knees are up for it.
I doubt it.
All
But yeah,
right.
yeah, looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, everyone tune in next time. And as always, don't stop believing, guys.